In this video, I'm going to show you our backing track setup at our church, from the gear we use to how we mix the tracks. Tracks help us round out our mix and fill in for absent musicians when we need them to. They even help us automate our lyrics so that they are always perfectly on time. So we have a 9th generation iPad that we use to run the tracks, the track app being Playback by Multitracks. We send the tracks out of the iPad through a Lightning to USB adapter, which then connects to our Tascam audio interface. Our Tascam interface has 8 1/4-inch balanced outs, which we then just send directly to our stage box via some 1/4-inch to XLR cables. Currently, we're utilizing 7 of the 8 outs, so number 8 is sending our click and guide to the mixer, which is obviously just getting sent to the musicians' in-ears. Channel 3 and 4 is pretty much always sending a backing piano because we don't have a piano every Sunday, so we want to be able to easily pull that up at the mixer and have it on its own channel to mix in. And then we have 5 and 6 set up to send a stereo out for any other instrument that we might want to send to the board by itself. And then out 1 and 2 is sending a stereo mix of just the backing tracks as a whole. So then we still have 7 available to send a mono out of really anything that we wanted to. But it's really nice to be able to send out the tracks as stereo, to obviously have a mono channel for the click and guide, and then 2 more stereo outs for individual instrument mixes. If you're curious what our other settings look like, here's a shot of that. So like I said, we're using the Playback App by Multitracks.com, and we just buy all of our tracks through their website. They actually have pretty much a master track for just about any song that you would want to purchase. Some might see this as a positive and some a negative, but Multitracks has most of their features split out into individual subscriptions. So how much you're going to spend on this every month is really dependent on what features you want to use. One really cool feature about Multitracks is its integration with Planning Center. So whenever I go to add a song in Planning Center, it will actually automatically download rehearsal mixes of that song. So a rehearsal mix being like, if you're the acoustic guitar player, there's going to be a track in there where the acoustic guitar is elevated in the mix, and you can hear that a lot better and learn your part a lot easier. You also have the ability to buy the chord charts through Multitracks as well, which makes things a little bit easier, and it will actually sync up with your backing tracks app if you use their charts app. So it'll actually scroll your pages for you as the tracks are going along. You can also buy Pro Presenter templates that will create lyrics for you, as well as stage display previews and stuff like that, which is really cool. And then for some songs, they will have song-specific patches for piano and song-specific pad sounds and stuff like that. So that's really nifty as well. But that's enough about Multitracks. Let's go ahead and get into how we set up our songs. So we're here in our set list for this next Sunday. We've got 3 songs going on. The really cool thing about this is that I can actually set all this up from my computer at home. I don't even have to go up to the church or to the church's iPad to do this. And then you can just sync it to the cloud. And then when I show up at the church, I just hop on the iPad that we do this from, and I just pull that up from the cloud. So I go in, add the songs, make sure that the keys are correct. And then you can also save your arrangement so that whenever you go to pull up this song later on, it will go ahead and automatically pull up the way you want things mixed. So you don't have to mix these from scratch every single time you load a song in, which is really nice. And then I'm just going to go in and make sure that all of the transitions are proper. So if it's going to be a scenario where we go from one song directly into the next one, I can set up a crossfade between the two. And then you can adjust things to make sure that the crossfade sounds good, like if you need to change where the tracks end by, the second mark or something like that. And then obviously at the end, we're usually going to do kind of a flow worship moment of sorts. So I want to make sure that it stays in the song and that it continues a pad, because I want a pad to be playing behind that just to kind of fill in empty space. In terms of how we mix our tracks, obviously, if there's an instrument that we need it to cover because somebody is not there, we're going to go and we're going to add that in and just turn it up all the way, because that's going to be getting sent to the mixer and they can adjust the level of that back there. So we just want to give them a full strong signal for that. And then with everything else, we're sending all of just normal tracks through a stereo out. So all these keys channels, the strings, and anything else that's not getting an individual out, it's all going to be mixed in together through one stereo out. So we have to mix that in the app. And one really cool feature of Multitracks is that you can sync, what's going on the iPad at the stage with another device, which we will sync it to our computer at the mixer. So at the mixer, he can pull up what the iPad is seeing, and the iPad is the master device that everything is playing through, but at the computer, he can control and change the mix of it. So while he's back there, if he's like, we need to kind of adjust how these keys are mixed, he can do that without having to go up on the stage and control it via the iPad, which would obviously be really annoying. As far as how we have things mixed in, what I'll usually do if it's a song that I haven't already mixed before, I'll go and I'll add in all of the instruments that we're going to have on stage, add them in here, add in the drums, the bass, acoustic guitar, electric one, all that good stuff, and I'll just kind of get a decent mix going with those things, and then I'll listen to it. And obviously, it's not going to be a one-to-one comparison with what it's going to sound like at our church with our musicians, but it'll give me a close enough example of what's missing. Are there any melody lines that we're not going to be playing from the stage, or does it need kind of an underlying synth sound to help fill in empty space? And so then I just kind of go in and I listen to everything and see how I can accomplish those things. So in this song, there are some synth lead lines that no one is going to be playing on stage. The electric guitar might be playing kind of his own lead stuff, but if it's an important part of the song where the synth is playing a melody that you just, you want it to be there, I'll go and I'll add that in. And I believe in this song, one of these keys is just a pad that's kind of playing throughout the whole song. And you can set up your tracks to play a pad if you don't have one that comes with the track, if you feel like it needs that. But this one has one built into it, so I mix that in a little bit. And then there's also just some nice strings in this that add some sparkle to some bigger moments in the song, so I like to add that in as well. Here in a second, I'll play that for you so you can hear what they sound like. So then I'll just kind of add these in, get a decent mix going, and then we're going to have to obviously make some adjustments whenever we get to the church, because it's going to sound different there than it is in my headphones, but it gives us a good starting point. One thing that we might commonly run into is that the backing tracks are just kind of muddying up the mix, or just adding a lot of confusion. So what I'll usually stay away from with backing tracks is stuff that has weird syncopations in it, weird rhythms, to where if the band was not playing like perfectly on beat, which obviously they're human, they're not going to do that, it makes it sound really messy, because that syncopation really only works when everybody is right on the click. And our band does pretty good, but obviously they're not perfect, so we've just found that those weird syncopations don't sound that great. And then other times you might find that maybe one of these keys channels is clashing with another instrument that we have going on stage, and so we either need to say, hey, play something else if we absolutely want that keys track in there, or just how you're playing that, or we'll just take it out and let them do their thing and handle that frequency range. So it's just really important to make sure that your backing tracks are not playing over anybody on stage, that they're just enhancing and filling in gaps. I would say that a less is more approach is definitely the way to go with backing tracks. So that's how we use backing tracks at our church on a Sunday. I'll give you some audio examples here in a second, but after that, I want to show you some really cool features that Playback has recently rolled out that just makes the app a lot funner to use and a lot easier to use. the first really cool feature that we use is MIDI cues, and this has been a feature for a long time, but you can set cues throughout your song, and you just kind of set where you want them to hit. Obviously you can see I already have cues set inside of this song, these orange things that are popping up as I scroll through. And these are sending lyric cues. So I set up my slides how I want them to look, and then I go and I set cues within the song. I just play through it and say, right here I want to change slides, right here I want to change slides. And it's literally just sending a slide trigger. It's saying do slide 2 of song 3, slide 4 of song 3. It's really simple MIDI queuing, and that just makes sure that our lyrics are always right on time. And it also just frees up the person that's running the computer back there to not have to do that throughout the whole worship service, because it's just kind of monotonous. Anyway, I think it's a great feature, and it's been really good for our church. Obviously, like I said earlier, Playback has templates that you can buy for ProPresenter if you want to kind of streamline this even further. This is a way that I found it works for me. I just get my slides set up the way that I want it to, and then I just set where I want them to change inside the tracks. Where this method becomes flawed is if you change the way your slides look or are arranged in the presentation in ProPresenter, because then your cues are not going to line up. So another really cool feature that we use is automation. So I would find in the past that there were a lot of scenarios where, let's say, I really like what keys 1 is doing in the verses of a song, but I really do not like it in the chorus. Obviously, you can't have someone there to turn it up and turn it down during the specific parts of the song. But I think within the past year, they released this automation function where you can go in and you can literally tell it to do that automatically. So I can say, hey, as soon as the song starts, I want keys 1 to be right here. And then whenever I get down to the chorus, I want you to turn keys 1 down. And you can even set like a crossfade up to 8 beats, I think. Obviously, this takes some extra setup, and you're really getting into the nitty gritty with this feature, but it's really nice if you really want to be intentional with where things are playing and, get it out whenever maybe it sounds really good in one part, but it's clashing with your band in another part. Really nice to have that feature. The other really cool feature that we use literally every Sunday is the pad player. So you can set this up to automate like at the beginning and end of songs just to help you transition between them. You can have it play throughout the whole song, or you can even set up your own click and pad as its own song if you want that to, let's say like we don't really want backing tracks for a certain song if we're doing like a hymn or something and there's no tracks available for it. We can just set up a click and a pad so that there's that pad underneath us to fill in blank space, and then we have a click if we want that as well. So that's a really nice feature. You can go in and you can start and stop the pad with this button anytime you want to. We pretty much always have it playing at the beginning and end of songs, especially if we're going to be doing something free flow during that moment. It's just really nice to have that pad behind it to, like I said, fill in the blank space. And then you can go into multitracks.com and you can buy different pads to get one that you like the sound of. We have a few different options that we'll cycle through, but I usually use this one called Reverence the most. It just, I think it's the most versatile. It doesn't really clash with other instruments on stage, and it just sounds really good. Well, that pretty much covers our backing track setup. If you have any questions that I didn't answer in this video, feel free to leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching till the end of the video, and I'll see you next time.